to review some of the common contradictions we have lived and have had various conversations about, and how it impacts various areas of a child's growth. We invited different parents, business owners, and friends to have a candid conversation on how some of the contradictions we live contribute and or creates larger barriers to supporting our youth. The views and opinions expressed by the guests, speakers, and participants in this context are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the organizers, hosts, or any affiliated individuals or organizations. We encourage open dialogue and diverse perspectives, but the individual viewpoints shared during this discussion are personal and should not be attributed to any collective entity involved. I've got to fix that intro. Something happens to the intro when I come in, and I'm like, I know that's not what that sounds like on my side, but it sounded funny to me.
Just have to go with the flow and go, yay, we're here. We've arrived.
Yay, we're here. We made it. Look, I'm going to be in the bricks today. So,
I like that.
How are you today, Christine?
Doing good. It's always a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure to hang out with you.
I'm going to say I'm doing better. Let's put it that way. Okay. Doing better.
Yes, you're doing better. Okay. Yes, sometimes it could be a little bit of a challenge, and we do have to check on those ones we do not think, oh my gosh, there's something might be going on with them, because those are the ones that we end up saying, oops, I should have called when I had that feeling, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad you're feeling better. You know,
yes,
better is better, right?
Yes, better is better.
Better is better. Okay, so we decided on a contradiction today. And first of all, I got to find out where I'm at. Right?
Okay, so should I do a countdown for you? 10, 9, 8, 7,
there we go.
6,
so we
5,
got this.
4, 3. Ooh, you beat it.
There we go. So today's topic is, it's not about your beautiful outside, but we put so much emphasis on our appearance.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what, I got stories. Oh, look, I got my thing, because I realized at some point in time I start to get a little weird. All right, so yes, I think I have always thought that this was a really bad contradiction. So the contradiction for me is not so much that it's what's being said, it's the behaviors behind it. It's not that someone said, oh, Tabitha, I mean, not everybody can be cute. It's always about your insides, never your outsides. But then the next time it's, fix your hair, put some makeup on, you're wearing the wrong clothes, you're doing X, Y, and Z. Well, wait a second. If it's not about my outward appearance and I'm clean and I'm prepared and I'm ready, why are you pointing out all of the things that would lead into my outward appearance, right? Well, so that has been a rub for me for like ever, because I was like, so I have a saying, it's not your beauty, it's your booty. So it just really depends on that. What it is.
So I think about, like, I'm going from the education point of view. So when we tell our children, it is more about your inside, but yet we spend the time on making sure that the hair is done, that our clothes are just right, and that we're coming in with just the right kind of backpack and, the water bottle. Everything is like, it's all about the appearances. And so not as much work is being done internally, and yet we're saying that the internal part is more important, but we're not doing that work. And I shouldn't say everybody, but when we start to look at the time, are we spending, if we're valuing the interior part and our beauty inside, are we spending more time doing that or more time on the outward appearance?
So I think that oh, that's pretty cool. I like the way she said that. So I'm going to go ahead and put it up here. It's the cover of the book causes you to pick it up. The contents causes you to take it home.
Oh, that's
That
neat.
is
I like
so
that.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Right. So snap,
Challenge
snap,
your
snaps on that
contradiction,
one.
Miranda. Do it, girl. Yes, I agree. Now that
Mhm.
makes sense, right? So I'm okay. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that part, right? I believe that the beauty inside of us should be nothing but an um uh addition to the outside beauty that we have. But I think that but beauty is also in the eye of the beholder. And I just want to say that showing up clean, ready, and presentable is the answer, right? But it shouldn't be the 100% emphasis. So working to get the likes and the reactions and the following and the things like that. Because I think what's happening is that so the filters and all of these other things are coming into play. And now children, our young people, don't feel comfortable enough to just be themselves. They have to fix and they have to do things so that they can resemble the filter that they like the best. That is where we're placing too much emphasis on the outside beauty, but now we're starting to struggle with mental health challenges and internally because when you look in the mirror, that filter doesn't exist on the mirror. But when you look on your phone, it can present you with the image that you want to see back.
Right. So just a question. Do you have a filter on?
No.
Either do I. We're filter free.
No, I do not
No.
have a filter.
So
I've seen some people who have had filters and it's
Mhm.
over filtered. You can tell.
Yeah.
Like their face just doesn't, you're just sitting there saying, "What?
But
What is
I
that?"
think you're right on that, though. It distorts how you view yourself. And then when you
Yes.
look in the mirror, you're like, "Well, wait, I look like that?" It's that kind of thing too. When we start focusing in on the external validations, that's when we have troubles with mental health issues as well. Have you ever noticed that when somebody isn't very kind and that kind of thing, so they can look very, very nice, but when they're not kind, all of a sudden their cuteness and the way that they're look, all of a
They got
sudden
horns
they
coming out
look
their heads.
really, yes, they don't look very pretty at all. They look very ugly.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why we need to do that inner work as well.
I
So
agree,
you
but I do think the kids, what are we doing with the kiddos? Because they they are okay. So if it's true, and we know this to be scientifically proven, right? The frontal lobe doesn't close and is not complete until around the age of 25. And I have to say, when mine hit 25, I think I heard this really loud snap, right? It was
I
like that
had
final
one. Yes,
puzzle.
one that's reached out. I'm like, "Wait, what happened? This is nice."
Right? Something
Yeah,
happens and it's
yeah,
like all of a sudden everything snaps into place and you're good to go, right?
yeah,
So, and then their conversations are different.
yes.
Because then I'm looking like, ooh, I can just sit back and enjoy the conversation and not sit up and wait for the opportunity to throw my shoe at somebody because they're acting crazy, right? So I
Oh,
get
I
it.
get that.
I get it, right? I understand this. I get it. But for the ones who don't have that complete, what the heck are we doing? Because the little people, I mean, you know what? Every parent has the most beautiful child they have ever seen in their lives, right? Every
Mhm.
single one of us. My child is beautiful. My child is this. My child is that. But what happens when you go to school and they're like, and the other kids are mean? You're
Yeah, they are.
ugly,
Yeah.
right? You're ugly. Now that statement how does not that harms us, harms the child long term because I was called ugly as well, when I was growing up, and I thought, Oh, well, okay. In my mind, we're all meant to couple off. We're Noah's Ark was not for nothing. Two and two, two by two, male and female, right? This is what we're supposed to do. So we're all meant to couple up. Doesn't matter, just couple. So, but when someone says to you, you're ugly and you have a terrible outward appearance, but meanwhile you're working on your insides and you're trying to be the most beautiful person on the inside because maybe the outside hasn't matched my insides yet. But then I come into school the next day and they're like, you're still ugly. Okay, cool. So what ends up happening with those
Right.
statements is that I started believing that I was never going to find anyone to couple up with. No one was ever going to like me. I was never going to find no one was ever going to be able to tell me that I was pretty or that they love me or things like that. So those statements, they have a tendency to hurt.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
what we don't realize, I love the way Miranda put it, at the same time, when you tell somebody, it's not about your outward beauty, it's about your insides, how you beautiful inside. Is that a way of actually saying to somebody, well, some people may not see you as cute,
You're
but
kind of
see you how
ugly.
you look on the
You're kind of
inside.
ugly.
It's not funny.
You got pretty inside. You're kind of ugly.
It's terrible because it's
But
like,
you know what?
so
You're
you're
right. Yeah.
it's not funny. It's not funny.
Yeah, you have great insights. You're kind of cute on the inside. Yeah. Oh
Yes,
my
right?
gosh.
Can you imagine that? Christine, you're kind of cute on the
Cute on the
inside.
inside.
You're a beautiful person on the inside. But then so depends on how our brains are wired. And with children, it's an extremely delicate balance you
Mhm.
have to have with them because sometimes their brains, and that's not all of them, sometimes their brain will say, well, if I'm beautiful inside, well, what happened to the outside, right? Or what is it? And they turn it inward and then they start to attack themselves. And I wonder if that's because we don't think about how those sentences may have landed on them.
And I also notice so children's processing is way off, kind of like what you just said. This is like a far off example, but this just talks about the processing and the understanding. I had a student um, a couple years ago that they weren't safe in their chair. And I was like, so they were rocking their chair. Well, common sense to me, I would think a 5-year-old would understand if they weren't rocking the chair's not safe, I could take the chair away. They're like, "Oh, no. Go ahead and, I'm just gonna use my phone. Go ahead and take away my phone." What? So those it doesn't mesh. So what you're saying makes a lot of sense too. So if I'm pretty on the inside, then I must not be pretty on the outside, and then you
Yes.
have that conflict going on within themselves, and they're not understanding how everything should should look. So I tr when with my children, talking about being beautiful on the inside, it translates to the outside appearance. So it seeps through. So if you're being nice, then you're going to be beautiful. If you are not being very nice and kind to others, then that's going to seep through. And they have choices, what do you, how do you want to look? How do you want to present yourself?
Right. I agree. So, I mean, there's been some guys that I've seen, and I'm like, woo, all right now. And then he start talking, and I'm like, this has just turned really bad. This has turned into something I just didn't expect to be. And so I can see how the ugly inside can definitely impact our beer goggles, so to speak, for the outside for the outside. But
Ah,
children don't drink beer yet. They're unaware of those goggles.
right.
They love everyone. So
Mhm.
everybody is pretty and everybody is beautiful because they're learning, right? And
Yes.
they're learning their own preferences. But our words, that's why I've always ended it the same way. Words are power. Remember to use them wisely. I was very, very intentional when I was speaking to my children as they were growing up, and now would tell them that not everybody's going to see you the same way I see you, right? You're going to find things that are really beautiful about one person but not so much about another person. But here's the thing: when people see you, they need to be able to see that you're together, you're okay, and that you are prepared and ready for whatever footsteps you're making going forward, right? So you want to show your first 3 steps forward is going to be your most impactful. So do you want them to see you looking like death warmed over? Or do you want them to see you looking fly and ready, right? So your appearance is extremely important. Your beautiful outsides, regardless of what others have told you. Every single one of us on this planet are beautiful. We were created. We are here to stay. And you are beautiful, okay? Your insides will magnify that beauty. And I think it might be a better way of putting that for the child, because then there's no longer a contradiction inside the words that you are beautiful inside and out, right? So, because not everybody gets that.
So I'm gonna, yeah, because I absolutely agree with you. And then as I was listening to you talk, I'm like, wait, I have another connection that relates to that part about making sure that we are presenting ourselves in the best way, inwardly and outwardly. So when I was in college, I would go into my class and I was like, yay, I'm like not at home. I could do whatever I want. So I would wear sweats, and I wore sweats. I wore them inside and out, and I had the grunge look going on. I wore like thermal underwear and boxer shorts. I just did my own style, and I thought, oh well, I
Oh,
kind
I
of looked.
love them
I
around
was
that
like,
time, around that time.
so I just did my own thing. I walked into my class and I was like, no, I'll sit in the back. Sat in the back in my grungy outfit. Hardly, I still looked nice. I had my hair up. I had my makeup on. I don't know what I was thinking. Anyways, so I wore that look. And I decided, my grades kind of sucked and I was tired and I wasn't learning that much. So the next year I decided I needed to change things up. So I dressed up. So I dressed for the success that I wanted. So it kind of ended up turning my mental state too, to being ready, and my grades ended up getting on the dean's list and doing very well. And I started to sit up in the front row. So just changing, your outside appearance can have positive effects on your internal, but it's those two pieces need to go together. Your internal and external have to go together. It can't be, um, if we just focus in on one, just our beauty, that's going to surely falter. If we focus in on our interior without the beauty, we're still okay. It's when we focus in on that superficial part that everything falters.
So I'm glad that you said that, because now I understand. I just think, one, when you see your children for the first time, when they're first coming through the door and they're looking and when you see them, your first comment, please don't make it, your shoes untied. Why is your hair out of place? What happened to blah, blah, blah? Okay. What I want to say is, what I would strongly recommend and encourage is that when you see them for the first time, you're like, I'm so glad you're here. I love seeing you come. I love being able to be here to pick you up. Or I love when you come and see me first, right? Whatever that statement's going to be. And then it's, did you realize your shoes untied? I don't understand what happened when you went to school. I went to school and your hair was all nice and done and it looks like crazy. I don't know what's happening. How do I help you? Right. But I think that the first statement it could very well be more beneficial to actually love the fact that they're there and then comment about their appearance after. One other thing is that for all of these little people who are on social media very early in their lives because their
Mhm.
parents put them there. Oh, I love it that my baby's so cute. My baby's so cute. Every single one of us have the most beautiful children on the planet. It doesn't matter. But here's my rub. When you're doing that and teaching them, oh, look, you got these many likes. Oh, look, you got these many reactions or whatever. and oh, they said this, that, and other. That starts to mean that you're starting to focus more on the outside than you were on the inside. And remember, the inside magnifies your beauty on the outside. So I personally am going to begin to use that versus your beautiful inside. It's not about your outside, it's about your inside. So I do believe I'm going to change my statements. And at the same time, because of something you said, I realize that I'm potentially going to change how I approach my appearance on the outside. I mean, because I just walk, I just show up, right? But I actually need to put more effort into it. And because I need, not need, it is important for me um to let people know I'm serious, and that I put forth the effort to come and to have conversation with you and dress appropriately to come and take care of whatever business this is, whether that's girls drinks, happy hour, or whether that's, meeting you for the first time for a
Mhm.
business conversation or just networking. So I was doing it before, but maybe wasn't so much. So I just want to be able to magnify the nice person that I know I am inside so that it can magnify my ugliness on
Appearance.
the outside.
Yeah. I mean, do you think like when you show up for somebody and dress up a little bit, do you think it shows the other person that you think that they're important enough to present? And I'm not talking like, going necessarily glamming all out, but it says that you're important. I took the time to present myself and get dressed up and look professional to come into a situation. Um, I do want to go back to the student part. Um, so a couple years ago, I had two students one student said, I have so many likes on TikTok. I might have been TikTok, it might have been whatever. So um, then the other student said, oh, I had likes too. The other one said, well, I had so many likes. And the other one said, well, I think it was like, I had like 100 some likes, whatever it was. The other one's like, well, I had 200, 235. So they knew to it down to the exact number, which one had more. So I guess I did some good job. I did a good job teaching them more and less because the other one, unfortunately, was deflated. The other one was inflated. So it wasn't even, but that's what we're doing to our children too when we
Yes.
put so much of an emphasis on the beauty of our outside.
Yeah. So yes, I absolutely agree with that. I think that that's a big thing because I feel like adults do it too, and a lot of that. So we talked about the fact that it's not about your beautiful outside, but we put so much emphasis on appearance, right?
Mhm,
So so that's the challenge that we have in front of us. And that challenge comes with a lot of mental health challenges, period.
mhm. Correct.
Because when you do not see yourself like you want to be seen by others, that to me seems like you're working for validation external from yourself. So to answer the one question is, when you dress up and go and meet somebody, do you think that they get the message that you did this because you felt as though they were important? No. The reason why I'm going to make that change is because um, I need to know that I am more important.
Mhm.
I am the most important person at that moment. And I need to dress for my own self to say, I look fly, I look cute, whatever that's going to be that day, and be able to walk out there and have a pep in my step that it was placed there because I'm happy with my personal appearance. And then when they meet me and I'm all prepared and ready, I'll be able to be seen differently from them, but the
I
bottom
love
line is
that.
it's
I
for
love
me.
that. I love that. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Because look, you said it, you were
Yeah.
like, when I started dressing for the success I
Yeah, and I'm
wanted.
like, "Then why did I throw out that one comment?" Because that's not what I was doing. Because I was dressing for myself, and I noticed that it helped me. Yeah. I
But the
like that
reason why you
too.
put it out there is exactly the reason why we're having this conversation,
Mhm.
because it's the same thing. That's what we're saying all the time. Like we say this, but the very first thing we look for is the validation external from ourselves. And so
You know,
my recommendation or
how
encouragement is always to look for you everybody everybody is not meant to be connected directly, you know? Like when we look at a puzzle piece as a whole, like we can have this lady just finished a 4,000 piece puzzle. Okay, so we're just going to use that as an example. 4,000 pieces, right? How about 8 billion people on this planet? Every single one of us are not meant to have those connecting pieces be everyone, right?
right.
So that means that in my mind, what that means is that me being cute, me being pretty, only exists for those people who are attracted specifically to me for a very specific reason in my life.
So what's interesting about that too, when you talk about the law of attraction. So you had mentioned that, so some of the guys that you were attracted to, then they open up their mouth, then they talk. So so you we're actually attracted to people from the interior, from how they are on the inside. Those are the people that we end up gravitating towards. Those are the people that we end up having deeper friendships with. So, and if you notice, like you can go around the gym and you'll see all of the same kind of people hanging out. You could go to the library and see the same types of people hanging out. It's interesting because like attracts like, but that comes from the interior, not so much from
Yeah.
the exterior. Even though sometimes it looks like it's from the exterior, but it's not. It's over what you value.
Yes, your value systems are what connects you.
Mhm. Yes.
It's a vibration also. I do believe
Mhm.
that's a vibration. And
I
I can
agree.
give this one good example. This is going to be funny. This is not, hopefully, this is not going to age us completely. But for me, I remember
Well, it's you. You
yeah,
this
I don't
way.
know. Well, no, because it wasn't our game. It was a game that my I guess other family had that we found, right? And it was a
Mhm.
crazy game where you plug it in. I think it's a football game and the players are on either side and then they turn it on and it starts to vibrate and they just start moving across the field. I think that that's kind of what we are like, right? Our vibrational pulls in who is
Yeah,
resonating at that same level, right?
yeah,
Who is vibrating at that same level. So the people that at the time where our vibrations are when we're in college or whatever, we vibrate at a very specific frequency, and someone who is looking for that frequency and will complete and allow that
right.
coupling to happen actually happens. And so I think that internally, our value systems and through vibration, we actually meet people who actually fill the gaps that we're missing. So it's true. So what are you going to say? Final words. What do you have?
So
Your
I'm gonna say that we need to spend more time on our inward, developing ourselves inwardly so we can reflect what we are on the inside to the outside world.
See, I like that. I'm going to change the way I use those phrases, right? I normally don't say anything. I just make a joke out of it. It's not your beauty, it's your booty, or whatever they may be, right? But what I will say is that I will begin to make it a point to say that your inward beauty definitely magnifies your outward beauty.
Mhm.
And I feel as though that is the thing that's most important. And that helps to lift the child up. That helps them to see them as who they are currently. And it doesn't help to inflate their heads into believing they're the most beautiful thing ever on this planet. Because that's not going to be for everyone. And I think that that's a good way to look at it.
I agree.
Christine, we did
Well,
it.
thank
We did
you.
it again.
Yes,
So
pleasure. Thank you.
we
Always.
spent the time hanging out here and figuring out that what we need to do that's different than what's happening. And it's always a pleasure to have those conversations with you. So
Great. Well, thank you. Had a lot of
use
fun.
your words wisely is all I have to say. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Till next time.
Bye-bye.
Oh wait, shoot. Did I push the wrong button? I did.
Thank you for your time today.
We appreciate the support and look forward to you visiting us again next week, same time, same place. Until then, words are power. Please remember to use them wisely. If you have an interest in discussing a contradiction or would like to be on our live show, please let us know and send us a direct message.